All right, peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. Happy Tuesday. I want to talk about something that we kind of started discussing, which is the plight of the white voter. As we're talking about getting prepared for the Nevada primary and caucus today, there are moderate white Republicans who are feeling unheard by the GOP as we're going into the primary today. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, designing the culture, how Black Afrofuturism is taking the stage. We're going to be checking in with American luxury brand designer, Mr. Patrick Cupid. We'll also talk to Tori Nichelle, who is founder of Mason Black, and talking about how young Black children are getting into the fashion field. Later on, folks, we'll talk a little bit about Jay-Z's Grammy speech. Now, it's been about 24 hours since that whole situation came up, but now the conversation has turned into a different space. So I'm going to be checking in with Marty Bowser, who's a journalist and opinion writer, to discuss this issue of Black artistry and so much more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. As we're streaming on our home website, first and foremost, at blackstarnetwork.com. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And drop something in the bucket for us as we are in the process of creating a new space in the digital space, in this digital movement. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. And we thank you so much for your donations, and we appreciate your support. Now, we're also streaming on Amazon News. You can find us on Prime, on Amazon on your Amazon Fire TV. You can check us out there. We're also on Amazon Prime Video. And you can find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, Live TV, the news. We're also on Freevee Network now under news, so just check us out there at Black Star Network. And we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, the news and opinion on Plex TV. Now, we're also streaming on Brother Roland Martin's social media page. That's right, folks. You can check us out on Brother Roland's Facebook page, as well as Brother Roland's YouTube channel. And that's where you will find the illustrious, the dynamic culture crew. So big shout out to the crew that is on the X platform, the crew that's a part of the Facebook page, and the crew that is on our YouTube page right now, as folks are checking in from all around the country. Big shout out to the crew. We got Tiana checked in, Damon Blissett, my brother, checking in, Ayani checking in, Brian Christian checking in, Pauline Hurt, I see you. Who else we got? Mingley Natasha Surge, I see you. The ABX girl, I see you, says thank you for checking in. Real Brooklyn, what up, Real Brooklyn? Smooth Approach, I see you. Lori Parks, I see you. Big brother Willie Frazier, I got you. Who else is on here? Oh man, y'all are checking in from all around the country. I love the love. I love the crew. So thank y'all so much for checking in. All right, folks, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about something that, again, I kind of wanted us to discuss because I don't think it is talked a lot about. And this is based upon the op-ed that Mr. Michael Harriot for the Griot put out a few weeks ago, talking about the white voter. Like, there's nobody really talking about the white voter. And here is my little prediction on this situation, folks. And y'all can just tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. But I think that the white voters, I think the Democratic and the Republican Party needs to be more concerned about the white voter than they do need to be concerned about the Black voters. Black voters, we're going to do what we're going to do. But white voters who have made up the vast majority of the electorate in this country and who have kind of been moving along in down a certain track, these are the voters that you really gotta look for, right? And I'm speaking of especially like the moderate Republican voter, right? These are individuals who were part of the Democratic Party, didn't see that the Democratic Party was speaking to their needs, or for whatever reason, they don't like they're not feeling President Joe Biden right now, and so they're starting to say, okay, let me give the other side a shot. Now, this is the part of the whole process I think that we need to take seriously. That if they say, all right, let me move to the Republican side and give Trump a shot, and some of them don't even, and based upon the reports that I've been reading, folks, a lot of moderate Republican white voters are not falling in line with Trump. They see Nikki Haley as a possible alternative, but when you ask them about Trump, they have some real issues with Trump. But whether it's about his legal issues, whether it's about January the 6th, they are not in lockstep with Trump. And so I came across this piece because, of course, we're talking about the Nevada primary is today, and then you have the caucuses on Thursday. But these moderate Republicans, they don't feel like they are being heard. And these are white voters, men and women, who are saying what's going on. And they even are going as far as to say that because they're not feeling Trump, the direction of the GOP, they're not feeling Biden, that some of them even saying that they're deciding to abstain their vote from this primary in Nevada this week, and looking to see how things go in general election. They have not come to a decision whether they're going to go to the polls for the November ballot. I was reading this thing from KUNR.org. And this is a radio station out of northern Nevada in the east of Sierra. They did this piece about talking to moderate Republicans, and they talked to a gentleman by the name of Peter Scougale. And Peter Scougale is a Christian father of five. He lives in a place called Spring Creek. He volunteers as a Republican treasurer. And he also says he wants to see civil discourse return. He does not like partisan politics. He said there's just so much name calling and vitriol, and you see it from both sides. That comes from the unfortunate fact, I think a lot of people almost treat politics like religion. Wow, I think I would have to agree there. But I want to share with you something else that Mr. Scougale posted, or what he said in this article. Let's post that for me really quickly. Then we're going to take our first pause on this. As we're talking about the 2016 election, folks, Mr. Scott, the 2016 election was the first time that he did not vote for a Republican president. But in 2020, he voted for Trump after his first term. Now, although he likes Trump's Supreme Court picks, he's no longer a fan of the former president. He said, when the election business happened, my attitude was, let's see how it shakes out in the courts. When nothing was found, like no substantive evidence of widespread vote fraud, but he just kept going on about it. And then the disaster of January 6th, I was just done. But Scougale doesn't think the Republican Party is ready for someone new. He was going to caucus for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis before he dropped out. Now he's staying home and hopes that lower participation at the caucus sends a message to the party. So he's not planning to even vote in the primary or the caucus of Nevada this week. He's planning to stay home, wait till November, and see how things play out. I think this is interesting, folks. I think this is very interesting because, one, there's been so much talk about the black vote and how the black voters need to come out. But the real concern, I think, that's going to keep popping up is where white voters stand. That the issue of Trump and all the baggage that he brings, the issue of the GOP party and all the baggage that they bring. You have President Biden, who is not polling high among some moderates, whether they're on the Republican or even on the Democratic side. This is very, very interesting. And I wanted to bring it to our attention because I wanted to get your take on this, crew, very quickly. And then we're going to take our first pause. What do you make of this? What do you see happening with the moderate Republican? What do you see happening with the white voter who is in this kind of space where they're feeling like both parties really don't speak to them? Now, we always talk about black voters. We know what's going on and the challenges that we're facing. But I don't think the country is fully prepared or even ready for white voters who are saying, look, I might not even show up at the election. Now, we saw, I think it was Iowa or New Hampshire, one of the two, where, yeah, folks caucused for Trump, but there was a major decline. There was a major shift in both of those spaces in Iowa and New Hampshire, where they didn't caucus at full throttle like we saw in the past. So do you think that this is going to be a problem down the road? Post your comments, and I'd love to hear what y'all have to say. First, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's get your discussion. Let's talk a little bit more about this, and stay with me. We're just getting started here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for the conversation, talking a little bit about the moderate Republican. Now, I know we don't often talk about the Republican, but I felt like I think we need to kind of, now that we've been blessed to be on this platform for 2 years, and so I'm grateful for that. And we've been talking a lot about Black voters. But this is a very, very critical election year. We know that. And as a result of this election year, I wanted to expand the conversation because I want to put things in its proper context so we can see things not just from our view for our personal experience or even as a community experience, but how does our view of things fall in place or in line with how everyone else is seeing things? And so wanted to expand, the discussion around voters in general. And one of the groups that I'm looking at now is the moderates, moderate Republicans, moderate Democrats, because, I remember back in the day, folks, many people thought, oh my gosh, you got to get these quote unquote swing voters. You got to get these independents if you really want to be successful, especially in a presidential election. But now we're seeing something very, very different. I mean, of course, the political landscape has changed dramatically over the past 25 to 30 years in this country. We've never seen a candidate like Donald Trump, who's come to the picture and bringing so much baggage to the table, that he is now turning some folks off. And I'm saying, when I say some folks, I'm talking about some white Americans off. As even though, and there's this assumption that, even with all the stuff that is going through, once I started to read about how some white voters in Iowa, some white voters in New Hampshire are now looking at Trump and based upon their shared values, then it got me interested, and I'm much more fascinated by, okay, so what's the motivation for driving this group of voters, and how are they planning to move forward, and how are they planning to cast their ballot? Well, now we're starting to see more. As more of these primaries are happening, Nevada's primary is kicking off today. They have a caucus on Thursday because there were some changes due to the election format by a Democratic governor. So this is why Nevada actually has a situation where Nikki Haley is actually on the primary ballot, but and they expect her to get the win in that space, but she won't be able to get any delegate counts. And then Donald Trump is on the caucus ballots, where Nikki Haley is not president. He's expected to win that and get the delegates. Very interesting situation, and it has put Nevada into a space where now it's not only just splitting up the election process, but it's possibly splitting up the voters. And so we're starting to see more moderate Republicans and those who came from the Democratic Party shifted to the GOP looking for something new, something different, a change. They are now starting to say, hey, this is not working for me either. And some have even said, I may not even go out to vote. And I think, folks, just as much as people want to put that message down, like black voters are the ones that's going to determine it, I'm not too sure about that. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Based on what I'm reading, I think that the real concern should be white voters of this country. I think that's the real concern of this country. And y'all tell me if I'm going crazy or not, and we can certainly talk about it for a few minutes. But I think that is the very real concern that both parties should have, Democrats and Republicans, that you're essentially pushing away the majority electorate from even getting involved in the process. All right, let me just do this here. Let's take a couple of your comments, crew, and I would love to hear what you say. Tiana checking in. Tiana, always good to hear from you, sis. You said they, talking about moderate Republicans, are pumping the brakes. They are pumping the brakes. You also said this sounds like a repeat of 2016. Yeah, they're pumping the brakes. And y'all remember, we kind of said it facetiously, but y'all remember that when Trump was going through all of this, and I say this is becoming, President Trump and all the baggage he brings is becoming a white America problem. And I'm not saying that out of shade. I'm not saying that out of racism. That's not even the spirit. But it's looking at, the way this country is going, the things that he said he wants to implement. I'm speaking of Trump. The things that he said he wants to implement, the direction he wants to take this country. I think some white people in this country is like, hell no, we're not going down this road anymore with you. We are not going down this road. You're destroying the foundation of this country, right? And it may be an awakening for white voters. I don't know. We will have to see. Only time will tell. But Tiana, you said this sounds like a repeat of 2016. I appreciate that, and you know what? There may be. I think you might be onto something there, Tiana. Thank you for posting that. The ABX girl, you said Mitch McConnell walked out of the meeting yesterday. He wanted to vote yes on the immigration law, but Trump is telling the GOP, "Don't vote." He wants chaos. Yeah, and if y'all remember, the chair. Y'all may not remember this, but a couple of days ago, the chair of the RNC, I think her name is Ronna McDaniel, if I'm not mistaken. But the chair of the RNC, the current chair, she was saying that if whoever it gets through the first two primaries, the Iowa and New Hampshire, that will be the determining factor for the party, and that they should galvanize around that candidate. Well, since that candidate is Trump, he's won both of those contests. Ronna McDaniel saying, "Oh, we're going to galvanize around Trump." And guess what Trump said? Trump said there's going to be a change in the RNC and change in the party, that he doesn't really want Ms. McDaniels to be in it. So here's a woman that's trying to bring the resources around you, and yet you are at such a place in your head that this guy is saying, "Oh, I don't want that. I don't want her leadership there. I think we need to have a change there." This is going to create a huge, huge problem for the GOP. You don't like my music. You say moderate Republicans must realize they have no party anymore. Woo. Woo. You don't like my music. That is interesting. Very, very interesting. Cindy D, I said 2 years ago that the party would split in two, the Trump party and the Lincoln Project party. People argue with me. Yeah. My brother, Pastor Damon, he sent me yesterday. He sent me a message via IG showing me the latest, I guess, what was it, Brother Damon? The latest, I guess, PSA, latest commercial for the Lincoln Project. And when you look at that commercial with very compelling images, got a voiceover, I mean, it sounds dire. It sounds like, whew, we are in for some madness. Over 500,000 of Americans have lost their lives under this man. And they just go down and just start talking about the policies. They talk about his handling of COVID. They just go into it. They talk, of course, about January the 6th. What is happening with white voters in America? And why should we even, and we can't talk about this today, but I do want us to kind of start having that conversation, that the disruption that we see within both parties around the white voter, how will that impact black votes? Black voters, how will that impact some of the big conversations around the country about the issue? Yes, Cindy, thank you so much for posting that. Who else we got here? Coretta, my sister, you said my coworker asked one of the white male professors straight up if he was a Trump supporter. His response was, "Oh God, no." See, Trump is serving as a mirror for a lot of white people. He's coming across as being ugly. I think that's what's happening. Like the misogyny, the racism, the sexism, all of these things, the lack of respect of law and order, all of these things are starting to resonate with some people. And, you know, you might have white coworkers, white neighbors, white friends. And I hate to put labels on people like this, folks, but I'm just saying, if we want to get down to the nitty gritty of this conversation, that if you start to have these discussions, that you will start to see people are like, wait a minute, is this what I want to see happening in this country? Is this what I want to see happening in this country? Is this the democracy? Here's this country moving forward. Like, again, folks aren't happy. Some white voters are not happy with Biden, right? They're not happy with Biden. They're not happy with Trump. So where do they go? Where do they go? Man, oh man. Look, I got to take a quick pause. I want us to think about this because I want us to shift gears a little bit. But let's think about this. I'm going to do my part to try to, bring up some more conversations around this, because I think that this is something that needs to be discussed just as much as we talk about our issues. But we got to look at the big picture here, folks. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot on the table, a lot of votes that has to be cast. And more importantly, there's a lot of discussions about the future of this country. So I just wanted to let's get at the tip of the iceberg. But over these next few weeks, and of course, as primaries continue to happen in this country, we need to figure out like what is really going on, because we might be seeing some major shifts in this country within the parties that's going to determine who's going to sit in the seat come November. Folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come back, let's shift gears. Let's talk about fashion. Let's talk about Afrofuturism and so much more. Stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about culture. Let's talk about fashion. Let's talk about Afrofuturism. And that's the these are going to be some of the themes of my next discussion, as I'm joined by some very special guests. First and foremost, Mr. Patrick Cupid, who serves as an American luxury brand designer. He's talking to us about the work that he's doing. Also, Tori Nichelle, founder of Mason Black. She created a 5-month mentorship program to teach young people about all aspects of the fashion industry. And she is joining us as well. So we want to talk to him about this collaboration effort, this partnership that Patrick Cupid and Mason Black is doing together to bring young people into the future of fashion and their upcoming fashion show around Afrofuturism. So Patrick, Tori, thank you so much for joining us here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. We truly appreciate it. We got them in there yet? Okay, they haven't gotten here. All right, let me just do this. Let's just, while we wait to get them, let me just go back to hearing what some of you are talking about. I'm going to go back very quickly and going back to that previous conversation. And it's all right. We'll wait to see if we can get them on here. If not, we'll just we'll bring them on at another time. But I'm seeing so many people who are speaking on this piece around the white voter, the moderate GOP, and I appreciate all of you. This is really interesting. Lydia Brown, you checked in. You said the divide in Nevada is definitely loud and it's coming in clear. Lydia, are you in Nevada? Talk to me if you are. I would love to know what's going on down in Nevada. What part of Nevada, if you're in the state. But I truly appreciate you for posting that. Real Brooklyn, my guy. Real Brooklyn, you said people can BS their way in everyday conversations about which party or candidate they favor, but it will always come down to who they can relate to more once who they can relate more once you step in that booth. Yeah, it does come down to that. Who can they relate to? Who do they see themselves in? Or which candidate really speaks to their shared values? We talked about that. So I agree with you. And people can talk a lot about. I mean, we don't really know who people are voting for, but I think that we're in a very interesting space. Some people say that 2024 Real Brooklyn is the year of truth telling, right, bro? And they said, some people even go as far as say radical truth telling. So I think that if people say that they're voting for Trump, they're voting for Trump. If they say they're voting for Biden, they're voting for Biden. I don't think anybody's BSing. You know what I mean? Back in the day, y'all remember back in the day when it was kind of frowned upon culturally for you to talk about who you would vote for? Y'all remember those days? I remember those days. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, you're like, you don't want to say who you're voting for. Now, please. We overshare on everything in the culture right now. So I agree with you, bro. I definitely agree with you. Let me see who else it says. Tiana, you said, who can relate to a man who said they're rich but don't pay their bills? Well, people who wish they were in that position, Tiana. Folks would like to know, if he's rich and you don't pay bills, and he gets all of this accolades, he get all of this. Yeah. I don't think it's I think there's a part of it is relating to that person, and then there's the part of fantasizing about being in that person's position. So that might be at play too as well. Good point. Tiz, my God, Tiz, you said Farajii, yes, a lot of people are happy with either candidates. I am one of them, but it is what it is. You said, aren't happy with either candidates. I am one of them, but it is what it is. One problem is these old politicians won't step aside and the young generation lead. Y'all know how I feel about that. If young people will lead, how many will follow? Because you can have some great dynamic young leaders in the conversation, whether it's for the local seats, state seats, or national seats, right? How many will follow? How many will truly say, you know what, I'm going to give this young person a chance? We see this in the Black community, where we have dynamic, critical thinking, very politically astute young people who run for office, and y'all probably know some, and you probably even come across some in your respective areas, right, where you guys live. And guess what? You talk to them, you be like, man, you sharp, but you ain't gonna win this election. Remember, we had the young brother who was the mayor. He's 28 years old, the mayor of the city. I forgot which city it was, but 28 years old, he's mayor of the city. But how many of us would have actually given him a chance? I mean, they gave him a chance, obviously, because he's the mayor. But how many of us, we really give the next generation a chance when it comes to that, right? We always tell them it's not your time right now. Trust me, folks, I've been around this for so many years where I've heard that narrative, that excuse. It's not your time. You're almost there. Just wait. Why don't you intern under somebody that's much older, and you'll be on your way in the next 4 to 8 years. Come on, Tiz. Come on. Let's see. And Tiz, I appreciate you for posting that. Nicole Smith, you said every time you think about it, just say out loud, we register others, and we vote every election. Our faith confession. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's continue the conversation. Brian Christian, my guy, you said, I want leaders who have a lot of experience in their respective fields. Bingo. So if you're 28, 30 years old and you want leaders to have a lot of experience, that may not happen, but they got some good ideas. They have the energy. They have even some of them just have the heart to serve, right? They're not tainted. But again, that experience means a lot to people, and we can't discount that. We can't downplay that. That experience means a lot. Look, I got to take another quick pause. When we come back, more of your thoughts. Stay with us as we talk about moderate GOPs, moderate Republicans who are saying, I may not be voting. I may not be getting involved in the political process. I'm just not happy. I want to get your take on this as we talk about the plight of the white voter, the moderate Republican nowadays. Stay with us. That conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. And we're just wrapping up this first part of the conversation around moderate GOPs, moderate Republicans who are really trying to figure out where they're going to find a home, who's going to be a voice for them, who's going to hear them, as moderate white Republicans are feeling unheard as they're going into this Nevada primary and caucus. And this is based on some, one-on-one accounts that people are giving about their experience being a part of the Democratic Party, going into the Republican Party. I shared with you the politics of Mr. Peter Scougale, who is a Christian father who lives in the state of Nevada, in Spring Creek, Nevada. But he wasn't the only white voter that was highlighted in this piece. There was another gentleman by the name of Chris Burke, who is a resident of Reno. He's a veteran and an accountant, first generation college grad from a blue collar family. He also has a student loan debt. He used to be a registered Democrat, but President Biden pushed him away. He said, I got student loans. I wasn't expecting them to get paid off. I knew that that was a pipe dream, so I wasn't terribly upset about that. But as far as what he's done for me, that's what I can't speak to. So that's why I decided to give the other party a shot. He changed his party affiliation to Republican. That was before the state party announced that the results of the primary would be, quote unquote, non-binding, and it would hold a caucus 2 days later. So that's getting back to that setup that's happening in Nevada. They have a caucus, they have a primary today and a caucus on Thursday. He said, Mr. Burt said, quote, I kind of feel like I've gone from disenchanted to disenfranchised. Wow. He said that he was planning to, he was looking at Nikki Haley as being his candidate of choice. And he said he'll likely sit out the primary and reluctantly prepare for a Biden versus Trump showdown in November. He said neither of these two candidates are going to be around long enough to have to live with the decisions that they're making while they're in office. I would need to support Biden again just to prevent Trump from a second term. This is Chris Burke. Look at that, y'all. There's another gentleman, Luke Pascal. He owns a plumbing company in Reno, Nevada. He's anti-Trump. He said that the former president has more baggage than others. He said he mailed his primary ballot for Haley, but found out after that she can't win any delegates. So while folks participate in this primary and caucus, candidates could only be in one or the other. He said as a small business owner, he would like to see fewer federal regulations. He's personally impacted by high prices like material costs and health insurance. He said, I changed my mind on national health care, which of course is the anti-thing for the Republican Party. But as a business owner, we pay a vast amount of money every month for health care. The plight of the white voter. The plight of the white voter, the moderate GOP, y'all. You are not a victim, you said smart man, talking about Mr. Chris Burt. This is where we are. So we are all, so what's going to be the outcome of this? Y'all see what I'm saying? What is the outcome? If black voters are feeling like, oh, nobody's listening to me, black voters, we are feeling more inclined to the Democratic Party than we are to the Republican Party. Then you have white voters who are part of the who were a part of the Democratic Party. They switch over to the Republican Party because they want to see they have their interest in mind, right? And then at the end of the day, they're like, damn, the Republican Party not even speaking to my interest because they want to deal with the BS from Trump. So where did they go? Tiana, you said we got 10 months of this BS. Come on, man. Killer, you are not a victim. You said, like Killer Mike said, vote for the policy, not the person. I used to think that you are not a victim, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if we can you really separate? This is a whole different conversation. Can you really separate the person from the policy? Like, are they going to advocate for you? They might say, look, man, these are politicians, right? How many times has political figures stood in front of our faces, said something that we wanted to hear in front of us, and then behind closed doors, they did exactly what was on their hearts, which was not do what they said they were going to do. How many times has that happened? How many times have we caught political figures being caught in the act of saying one thing in public, doing something else in private? Yeah. So this is real serious situation. And I think, again, just having this conversation, just because I wanted us to kind of just, okay, let's expand this a little bit, right? We're all kind of going through some changes. We're all got to figure out, how do we navigate through all of this? How do we get to a better place with this? If it looks like the two major parties, and they're not even talking about a third party, these are folks that are just like, damn. And all of them so far have been saying, I'm sitting out the primary. I'm going to see how the national election, the general election is going to work out. I may not even vote in the primary. And here we are as black folks, we're like, well, we got to vote at every opportunity and every chance. See, this is why I said this is a very critical time. This is why exactly what I've said this. Who else we got here? Janelle, my sister, you said the real reason we should care about the plight of the white voters because the only way we'll get what we want in the end is by working a coalition. If it helps them see our share of pain, we can win. Coalition building and shared pain. That's interesting. That's interesting. Brianna Pinckney checking in. You said politicians are running for the people. They're running for themselves. Notoriety, fame, relevancy. Come on now, Brianna. Absolutely. Absolutely. How can politicians run for them? But that's crazy. And I agree with you, Brianna. But if you really think about that, like, how are they able to get into office without even us having some conversations, some accountability, no demands on the table? I mean, and they're staying in office, Brianna. You know what I mean? They're staying in office for term after term after term. Man, this is interesting, man. Let's expand. Let's just think outside of ourselves for a minute. This is very interesting. This country is going through a very pivotal, critical, major marking point. This is not just about the black voter. Please don't let somebody gets in your head and try to scapegoat that the fate of this country or the way that this country currently is because of black people. Please. That's a lot. That's a lot. We don't have the numbers. We're not the majority of the country in terms of population. We're not the majority of the electorate. But we're the problem. That's called scapegoating 101. We're going to put it on black people. We're going to put it on the poor. We're going to put on the disenfranchised. We're going to put on the disenchanted. Well, you better start adding some white people to that conversation as well, because they are just as much disenfranchised, disenchanted. They are poor. Please. Tiz, you said Farajii, the reason is simple. They built the system. I mean, yeah. But guess what? Since we know they built the system, and we all know this, but at the end of the day, Tiz, that system has to speak to the interest of the people. And if the majority of this people start to feel like, the majority of the folks in this country start to feel like the system is not working for them, we already know it hasn't been working for us. But the majority, and I'm speaking of the white Americans, start to say, man, you know what? This system is messed up. It's not working for me. And it's causing me to lose a sense of myself. It's not speaking to my interests. I don't feel secure in the system. Then what's going to happen? The system is going to fall, or it's going to have some cracks in the foundation. Something is going to change. Something is going to change. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's switch gears. Let's talk about Jay-Z. Let's talk about Black artistry. I'm going to be checking in with Marty Bowser, who is a journalist and opinion writer, to give her take on that larger conversation about the Grammys. And I'm going to share with you what my take is as well. And I would love to hear what y'all got to say, crew. So stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation and joining us. And we are streaming live on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And drop something in the bucket if you can, as we're looking for financial donations. Continue to support us at this time. And also, while you're online, make sure you follow me, yours truly, Farajii Muhammad. You can find me at The Real Farajii on Instagram, at Farajii on X, and I'm at Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with you and continue to build the community of the online culture crew. All right, folks, I want to switch gears. Wanted to have this conversation with a voice that understands the dynamics at play of this. And so I'm very, very excited and happy to have my sister joining me as we talk about what happened at the Grammys on Sunday night when Jay-Z made that speech where he criticized the Grammys for not doing their part in supporting Black artistry and at the same time snubbing his wife. His wife of the album of the year. So I'm joined by journalist and opinion writer Marty Bowser. Marty, good afternoon. Welcome to The Culture. How are you feeling this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, Marty. I'm trying to figure out what was your take of what we saw here, because I kind of sometimes you got to let certain things, you're an opinion writer, you're online and all that stuff. So sometimes you just gotta have to wait 24 hours to see how the chatter goes, right? I'm online and social media because everybody jumps in, and I know for me, I had to become much more clearer about where I stood with Mr. Carter and his stance, right? So I didn't want to just throw myself out there too quickly. But what was your take of what you saw with Jay-Z as he accepted the the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award at the Grammys?
Well, I will say, for one, you are probably of the minority who actually wait and think about what they say before they just put it out there.
I know, isn't that part of our culture right now? We just want to just jump into stuff.
But I get it. I mean, I actually was live tweeting. I had to do a live tweet for an outlet. So I was very much like, oh, okay. I'll say this. For the sake of just general public, he didn't say anything that people have not already known, right? I think, and I've even seen it, and I agree that he didn't say anything that Kanye didn't say years ago.
That's not good, Marty. That's not good.
But the difference is Kanye actually went up and grabbed the award from Taylor.
Right.
But
right.
I want to point out people are. So when they started picking apart his speech and stuff like that, they were like, oh, he made it about this, he made it about that. He didn't say any names. So if you are correlating with the fact that he tried to take this person's moment or this person's moment, you're deflecting and you need to take it up with that person because he didn't say anybody's name. But he also didn't say anything so obtuse to where we already didn't know. Like, people feel that way. There is a great article that came out last year. I want to say the young lady, she wrote for Hip Hop Weekly. Her name escapes me right now. I don't know. But she literally wrote an article that just examined Vanity Fair was the original article where they spoke to people who are part of the Voting Academy. So if you don't know, the Grammys, just like any major award, they have a group of people. Sometimes these aren't even people who are other demographics of what you would think when it comes to music fans. They're all walks of life. They range from 25 to 75 years old. And literally they're just in this room after all these votes get trickled down and people submit and things like that, to where they're literally saying, okay, that sounds good. I know that person. Go. Right. Well, the young lady wrote the article for Hot New Hip Hop, I'm sorry. And pretty much just kind of picked out the parts from the Vanity Fair article where these people were basically saying that they think Beyonce has got too many awards. So they stopped putting her up for Album of the Year. She is the leading Grammy holder. Right now she has 32 awards. Jay-Z his 24th one on Sunday. But it just kind of shows that, this woman, she's 42, I want to say. And Beyonce's been in this game for a long time, and she's been very graceful for a very long time. But I will say it does kind of feel like a slap in the face to where you have this person who you will give everything else but that. And they're not, and I think people are missing the points where if we look at like the trajectory of things, and if we can use Taylor Swift as a hierarchy because she kind of is like that. I would say when you put together or build what the Academy thinks of this perfect artist, and we can say whitewashed, it's her.
Yeah.
You know, she can play an instrument because people love to say they're like, oh, she could play an instrument. I've seen her play the guitar. I'm not saying I'm good, but I'm saying give me a month.
Marty, you say give me a month?
I pick up things pretty easy. I've seen her. She's not Slash. It's not that, you know.
She giving you Andre 3000 on the flute.
No, Andre had octaves on that flute. You give me a month, and me and her might be able to jam out. So I'm not going to do that. They're like, oh, well, she's a writer. She's got teams just like most artists do. So, and again, not to discredit Taylor. I personally, and this is where I kind of like withhold my stance on some things. I can't tell you one Taylor Swift song. Like
you can't.
I could give you a song.
I feel crazy now because I can tell you a few of them.
Ask me a lyric. I won't be able to save your life. I will not be able to do it. But I say that to say if we look at how things are going, and we can just play the numbers game here. Taylor's 34.
Right.
Which a lot of people don't know because she plays off a lot younger and she takes advantage of that. But that's a whole other story. She's 34. Yeah. She's sitting on 14 awards. I think 4 of them are album of the year. So let's say and she comes out with a new one maybe every 2 to 3.
Oh, you can't forget Marty. She announced her new album's coming out on April 19th.
You know what I said? I saw something. I said Taylor's the kind of person that would announce her engagement at your wedding. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everyone else's faces in the audience, like, girl, we wouldn't. Okay, but if you're playing the numbers game, if they don't think she's winning too much, she's gonna beat that 32. You know, if we look at by the time she gets to 40 something, 42, or around that age, and they keep letting her do whatever, she's gonna beat that awards. That 32, and she's already won album of the year. This isn't a question if, because Beyonce has been getting nominated for album of the year since Sasha Fierce. And this was before she hit 32 awards. So where is the difference? And that brought up a lot of questions. And I think also for me, if he was to continue just to make the conversation about Black artistry as a general, as far as the Grammy or the Grammy shows, people would have loved it. People would have said, he's right. Black History Month, go. But as soon as he brought Beyonce into it, as soon as he brought his wife into it, it turned into why does she get special treatment? Why does she get, So
do you agree with that though? Is there some merit to that? Is there some merit to that? And look, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that's his wife. So I mean, he's going to be biased, right? Like, I'm not mad at that, right? What my concern was, and I agree with all that you have shared, right? Like, Taylor is on a trajectory and everything, but it's crazy because Beyonce and Taylor are 2 different artists. They're literally in 2 different spaces, right? Beyonce is a mother of 3. She's a wife. Taylor is a girlfriend, no children. Like, she's still living that young woman's life, right? Like, she's still out there. She's dating a football player and everything. She might start settling down. But it's just too many differences, right? But people are looking for a matchup. It's like, we don't have to get into the details of it. It's like Nicki and Meg, right? You know what I mean? People want this matchup between these 2 women so bad. It's like, oh, Beyonce and Taylor, Beyonce. Shannon Sharp said something. Oh my God, Taylor is and now we're going down here. I don't think we can take away what Beyonce has brought to the culture. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about just Black culture. I'm just saying in general, what she brought to the culture of this country. She has been a force to be reckoned with. I think my pushback on it, and I agree with you on that point, if it was just about Black artistry, I read a piece in Complex that said, where Snoop said, he posted something on Instagram the day after, or was Monday, and he's like, I've been nominated 16 times, never got not one Grammy. You know what I mean? He talked about Music Soul Child. I mean, you have artists out there, Black artists, who have never gotten a Grammy for a single, let alone a whole album, right? And they're still working. They're still out there grinding, and they're still thinking. And I don't know if Jay could have said, hey, look, my man Snoop, he didn't even get a Grammy. This person, and then on top of that, Beyonce, she didn't get a Grammy album of the year. I don't know if that would have made the difference. I partly do think that would have made the difference, and it would have taken that moment out of the Kanye West space and put it into, here's an advocate of Black artistry that makes sense, right? But because he kind of keyed in on Beyonce,
exactly,
and because, I mean, let's just admit it. I mean, they win. Jay-Z, Beyonce wins, and Jay-Z has talked about this in his music and in interviews. After a while, people are tired of seeing you winning, man.
But people feel the same way. You know what? It's the same way about Taylor. I think there's this weird dynamic of when we look at, and I'll just take this back between Taylor and Beyonce, because you can see this within like the articles and conversations about when they were, at that back and forth with their tours and things, right? Whenever you have these two artists, especially like Beyonce, who we've seen her go from a group to solo to literally just to where it's never been a fail in a way.
Right.
But even within our own community, there's people who like to pick at why she's not the best.
The queen.
They say, there's always a, and but with Taylor, you rarely hear, and I don't make it a point to be in white people business, but I've never heard them want to see Taylor and Britney Spears slapbox.
Oh, no.
That's not a question within that.
No.
They have to bridge. It's some weird dynamic to where Beyonce, because she is that standard, and because she's probably, as far as like when we look at entertainers outside of Michael Jackson that have that, that fan base to where it's like people will literally like they will write a think piece, and they probably have never wrote anything their whole life, but they will write a think piece about it. They will pass out, they will do everything. It's easy to put them at each other because what other female artist is above both of them, especially in their respective fields, right? Well, genres. So I think that's really what made it to where it made his whole argument easy to attack and become biased. Like you said, if he would have kept it just mainstream to where it's like, why is the rap category all the way from 1980 something still a pre-show award?
Yeah.
But y'all make time to give an award for folk music, things like that. Or y'all make time to give an award for all the pop categories.
Yeah.
All the pop categories live on here to where, like, I guarantee you next year that TikTok Billboard, something, whatever, all the pop categories get to live on this main show. But the R&B, the only R&B person we get to see is song and artist, right?
Yeah.
But all the rap, at least put best rap album on the main category, because most of the time, a lot of your pop and all those things like that, a lot of them have been featured by that rap artist. That person works with that rap art. That writer who won Best Songwriter wrote 2 of the rap songs and that pop song that you just actually, so if he would have kept it that to where I guess it didn't hone anything on Beyonce, that would have made it less easy to seem biased and less easy to attack. But then a part of me is just like, what's wrong with the man speaking up for his wife?
I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I mean, matter of fact, I agree with that. I think that is important. I think the only pushback that I would say about this, Marty, in terms of is the timing of it. That's one of the things. And you got to just read, not just, as they say, read the room, not the physical room that you're in. You got to read the culture a little bit, right? Like,
So would that conversation would have, let's say if he gave that same speech directed at the Grammys saying, you know, but he gave it at, you know, the BET Awards. Or
see,
something like
it could have been that. And see, we gotta
the Grammys at the BET Awards.
He could have, but see, here's the thing, and now Marty. See, I'm gonna take a quick pause. See, because Marty, here's my thing, because I work, and you and we both work in media, right? Mm-hmm. So I personally just don't agree with, and I don't care what anybody say. Y'all can hate me all y'all want to. When I was growing up and I wanted to be an actor, winning the Oscar was the top of the food chain, was like a major accomplishment.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Winning the Oscar. We just saw one of our greats, Angela Bassett, winning the Oscar early, like a few months ago, right? For her whole catalog of work. Now, even though it sucks because she gets one versus getting it per like,
and it was
project.
almost like a constellation gift.
Right, it was like a constellation prize, right? But my point is
about that.
But exactly, I understand. But she was super excited, right? Like there's still an awareness and a recognition there, right? So my pushback a little bit is because I see this time and time again that folks get awards and then crap on the awards platform that they get the awards from.
But you know what? That only
and there's no alternative. I'm sorry, there's no alternative for
black. I agree with you on that.
For black artistry to be recognized. Yes, we can see the BET, but BET is black targeted.
Well, see,
right?
I was saying if he gave, let's say if he just wanted to be a T award just to win it, but when he got up there, he was like, you know, and of course he didn't necessarily down the BET or compare them to that, but let's say his conversation was about Beyonce not being appreciated at the Grammys, would people have cared as much? So probably not. But no, I totally agree. I actually have said that before to where it's when people are like, well, I don't know why black artists want white validation. You get on Facebook and every day want to like somebody who got an overdraft. Don't tell me.
Like it's BS, Marty. It's BS.
Exactly. Don't tell me
it's BS. I don't care what nobody say. Look. I don't care what nobody say. If you are a journalist by trade, by profession, right? Yeah. As a journalist, if you win
a Pulitzer, Emmy, a
daytime Emmy, a Pulitzer Prize winner, if you win an Edward R. Murrow Award, you're going to be. Look, I have interviewed Grammy winners and Oscar winners, and they make sure, please announce that I'm an Oscar winner. Please announce I'm a Grammy winner for this, right? And of course I'm honored that. Yes, absolutely. But part of it is like, so now as black people and as our black artists, are we now saying that this stuff doesn't matter? Because tell that to the people who do these projects. I'm sorry.
White artists are doing it too. I don't know if anybody realized it. Like when Miley Cyrus went up there and won Best Pop Song, Best Record of the Year, she literally said the same thing. She was like, this means nothing. She was like, the numbers are within you, so and so, so and so. So it's almost like with
I don't believe it.
Exactly. They get the leeway to say it, but when we say it, we're seen as ungrateful. When they say it, oh, that's validating to artists. Oh, that reminds you that, you know, this is just subjective. But when a black artist says it, oh, you're
what's wrong? What's wrong with getting an award though?
Exactly. But I'm saying that because I hate when people use that as a reason to where it discredits Jay-Z or any black artist saying that they feel a certain way about not getting their dues at those awards. Because even though he hasn't said it, I'm pretty sure Denzel got some beef with the Oscars.
Come on, exactly.
I'm pretty sure Angela has been cussing for a long time.
When she didn't win the award, I ain't talking about this Glasgow. I'm talking about the actual Oscars when she did not win for her portrayal from Black Panther. You saw it on her face.
It's just that because they're actors, they've already taught how to mask pain. So they do.
She didn't mask that.
She didn't do well. And then it didn't help with Jonathan Majors coming out there saying, I'm like, we love the black moment, but come on. So, but
yeah. I mean, it's again, but I think that, and I'm thinking about the next generation of artists, right? And I mean, the Grammys are part of the recording industry of Academy.
Yes.
This is a part of the institution. Unlike the BET Awards, that is a different metric system, right?
Yes.
Unlike the NAACP Image Awards, that is a different guidelines that are used to determine who gets those awards, right? And I'm saying the Image Awards is about what artist or what entertainer has portrayed us in a positive light. It's called the Image Award,
it's
right?
really about impact towards a community. So the way that, and again, if we go back to where I said the article pointed out that the Recording Academy is a part of people who are supposed to be of this now, almost like a jury for,
exactly.
So there was literally a person who said he was 70 years old. And he was like, well, all I know is whenever I hear Beyonce's name, it's attached to something that's kind of big and just kind of pretentious to me. So I just don't.
Now, who said that?
These were people. There was an article, and I can send it to you if you want to send it out to your about it. Young lady last year. The article was wrote after the Grammys last year, when she didn't win, and but it was she kind of did a deep dive into the original article, which was from Vanity Fair, where they kind of spoke to people and gave people insight of what the actual Voting Academy was, because this was around the time where people wanted to know about these things, because the whole awards season and everything like that was being criticized because of a lack of diversity. Because we started seeing that at all, like, the Golden Globes or other things like that that are part of like this, the grand award season, it looked a little bland, looked a little white. So she took pieces from the Vanity Fair article that literally where they said, so how do you feel about, Beyonce never winning? Because they feel like every time she's up and they look in that category, there's no way. When they said that, they were saying that consumer and regular music lover, listener and stuff would be like, there's no way that she is going to get beat by this person. There's no way. And then you hear someone like, in no shade, Beck, and we're like, and this, and then they say, oh, well, Adele, and you're like, oh. And then they were like, oh yeah, well, Taylor, and you're like, but they literally talk to these people.
Yeah.
And some of the one of the quotes that really sticks out to me was like, he was 70 and he's like, well, whenever I see her name, it's just attached to something that's a little pretentious and too big. So I think he's, done too much. And there was another person, she was like, well, I for one like her music, but I feel like she should give someone else a chance. And I'm like, why? So that's enough to stop this one. And again, I feel like even if we were talking about this in that type of situation with Adele, that would still be an issue. But because it has consistently happened to this Black woman who has given her all to this industry for so long, it becomes another issue. So, and again, if we look 10 years down the road, when Taylor is 44, so she's touching around, she's at the age around where Beyonce is now, and they've never halted her, then we know what the answer was. Because again, let's say she never wins another album of the year, but she continues to win at least like best pop, best record, best whatever.
Right.
And she's going to have 4 album of the years in the pocket. And I'm like, so when does it become too many album of the year awards?
And you know what? I got to take a quick pause, but Marty, I think that is absolutely true. I don't think that anybody can say differently than what you're just saying. Like the outright, we can call bias, racism, however you want to chop it up. I think that's there, right? But then the other part of that is that, some people would say, well, what do you expect from a white institution, white platform? What do you expect? And so it's like we have to take, unfortunately, Black artists have to take the hits. Now, I'm not a guy that's always about the meritocracy, right? Like awards are good when you work hard, and if you're blessed to achieve to win them, then that's one thing. But I do know, and people don't know this part, and maybe they even missed this part, that Taylor Swift in her speech, she said, look, she kept saying, I've won 13 Grammys, I've won 13 Grammys, I've won 13 Grammys, right? Like, so the meritocracy is definitely real. But what I think is that we need to change the conversation from winning awards mean that you're greater than, that you're better than, and that it's just a validation and recognition of your high quality artistry, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're entitled to always receive these accolades, right? Like there are times where you could possibly lose, right? Yeah. And we have seen this. And in every industry, whether you're talking about arts and entertainment, you're talking about even in the education profession, you got teacher of the year and teacher of the state type of awards. In every profession, you have awards, you have recognitions and honors. But then I think we have to ask ourselves, like, how important is this stuff? But I don't want for Black artists, whether you're an actor, singer, dancer, any type of performer, like it's okay to be awarded. Because until we have an alternative award situation truly set up, right? And we have that stuff locally and stuff like that. But I'm saying
of that standard.
Of that standard.
And I think people are missing that because they're like, why should they want it? I'm like, again,
it's that standard. If it's like when you win the Critics' Choice Awards, the SAG Awards, what's that? The other one that just had
you went to college for that degree. You went to college for that piece of paper. If you went to college, you could have went all 4 years and said, you know what? I learned everything. But right before that last final, you'd be like, I learned everything.
I'm gone.
And I'm out of here. And I'm
I don't need this piece of paper.
You put your name on that Scantron. So you could have got that degree. So,
hey, Ronnie, you said the Scantron. You're taking us back. Okay.
So, but you submitted that thesis. You did all that for that piece of paper. So again, why are we downing these people? Because they want this accolade that literally says, hey, you might have put the best work into this piece of art that you gave us, and we're going to give you this, and we know that means something to you because this art is pretty much.
And it means something to the industry. It means something to the industry because when an artist when an artist of any sort is showing their artistry at a high level, that actually pushes the industry forward. Yes. Right now you're leading the industry. You're the one that's out front because people can say, and I know behind closed doors, people be like, man, Beyonce really be putting on the best stage shows in the past for the past 25 years. Ain't nobody can entertain like she entertains. I actually went to a Beyonce concert and 2.5 hours, bro, you're just not bringing it. I ain't talking about sitting there. I'm talking about, costume changes. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about rhythm. I ain't talking about out of breath. I'm not talking about she holding the mic so everybody can sing a song because she forgot the lyrics. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about she going to give you 2.5 hours of nonstop Beyonce. Yes. She'll give you that beautiful smile and she going to do it. And I get it. Right? She doesn't win the album of the year, and it's unfortunate. She should have got it for Lemonade. At least I think it's one of her best albums. But it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's still like there are a lot of other, like you've been blessed to win 32, and you got to give space. And I'm not saying she has to give space, but I'm saying that the advocacy now for Black artistry, because Black artistry is under attack. Black history is under attack. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just about one person. It's about all of us at this point. And that's why I say, I think Jay just missed the mark on it. That was the one thing. He just missed the mark. Like maybe, and again, I'm not mad at him because that's his wife.
I honestly wish he would have just went up there and said, hey, let's talk about why y'all just took my boy Killer Mike out in handcuffs.
Or it said something like that. I mean, look, I got to take a quick pause, Marty. We're going to come back to you. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking in with my sister, who is a journalist, opinion writer, Marty Bowser. She has written for many different publications, and she's talking to us about this ongoing conversation about Black artistry and all that Beyonce, Jay-Z had to say as he accepted his award at the Grammy. They got the whole internet talking, and once again has brought Beyonce back into the center of attention. Do you think she wanted this, though, Marty?
I'll say I don't think
if that was your husband,
I thought it was just very funny how she sent Blue up there like, go get your daddy. Like, go get your daddy. And
well, Blue didn't say that, but Blue did have that look on her face like,
Daddy's
Dad.
thinking.
Daddy's been drinking a little bit too much Daddy
on the way.
And she will tell, and I feel like she is probably one of the few people that will tell Jay like the truth, like Dad. That was not cool.
Like,
or that was like Dad. You went a little too far.
I think she gets both her parents together, honestly. Yeah, she's very much the family's crisis manager. But like, what was that?
The family's crisis manager. I love it.
Relaxed. I think. But here's my thing with Beyonce, because, and I asked this question too, and I kind of got attacked. I asked the question about, does she do Black media? And
come on, Marty.
The question stemmed from when Lenny Kravitz dropped that that interview. I forgot. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm going blank. OK Player. He did an interview with OK Player where he said he never got invited to the.
Yep. We talked about that a little bit. Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, that's the good one. Beyonce. She Beyonce's good for him. So we got the country, the cowboy hat, all the maybe a country album come, but we'll touch that later. But I think, but anyway, so I asked the question because Lenny in his interview was like, You know, he doesn't get invited to the BET Awards. He never got invited to the Source Awards, which Source Awards, I don't think the people who went to the Source Awards remember the last Source Awards. So that's null and void. But the irony of it was he was talking to a predominantly white media outlet and a white journalist about Black media. I'm like, well, why don't you come talk to
Black media?
Black media. And then it trickled down to people saying, you know, well, none of his team is Black. So you might want to ask your white publicist and white manager where those Black invites got lost at. And I asked the question about Beyonce doing Black media because one, first and foremost, I carry my Beehive stamp right here. But I wanted to see how people viewed Black media when it came to putting their ultimate fave, mine too, in the hot seat for it. Beyonce doesn't do media. She doesn't have to, honestly. When she's
No, I disagree.
When she's in media, she does fashion. Though she rarely talks anymore, unless it's like
that's what I come on, Marty.
Yeah, unless it's something curated by her, she owns
exactly.
it. Marty. And they do press for that. She's not the one talking anymore.
Marty. Oh, my sister. No. And look, I've had so many conversations about this, right? And I've had so many conversations. I'm not expecting you to be. And here's why the Taylor Swift thing, and I hate to say it, this is why there's this kind of like frenzy around Taylor Swift, because her brand looks more approachable.
There we go.
You could catch her at a football game.
Well, you catch Beyonce at a football game too.
Yeah. I know, but you see what I'm saying? You can catch it like her philanthropy is out there before she even steps into the room. Oh, she gave $55 million worth of bonuses to her team. Her philanthropy is out there. And I'm not saying this to throw shade on B. I'm just putting it out there as you and I specifically know, because we work in this culture and we work in this industry. Perception is reality. It's not like, oh, it's a part of reality. It could be reality. It is reality. So people see Taylor Swift and they look when the Chiefs played the Ravens, my home team of Baltimore Ravens. There was an account of a young lady who worked at M&T Bank Stadium and said that somebody said, "Oh, Taylor, hi." Then she goes and she talked to the media and said, "Look, Taylor Swift came right up to us and started giving out money like, hey, thank y'all so much for coming. It was a great experience being here in Baltimore, blah, 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 blah."
But think about this.
Now, is that for branding purposes?
I'm gonna here's my take.
So throwing your wrench in it, but Beyonce does not talk.
I'm not gonna
That's
say
the only part.
Taylor doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I'm 36. I don't like talking to people when I go out. Beyonce 43. She tired of talking.
Wait a minute. Hold on. No, wait.
I say this also. When Beyonce was at that point to where Taylor Swift is now, when she was doing that, Beyonce was out there. Beyonce was walking around Walmart, picking up babies, putting them in the cart with her, going shopping around Walmart.
You mean Target?
No, she did Walmart too.
She did Walmart too?
Yeah.
See, I'm here. Look.
And that's the thing.
Go ahead.
Taylor Swift gets the bonus of literally being the sweetheart of the media industry when social media became the main form of spreading the message, right? Beyonce had to build her image before Instagram became and TikTok became, things like that. She was already well into maybe her 20s, possibly. Maybe dropping her first solo. I'll have to see. So Taylor Swift has got, she's literally had to keep her brand approachable because when at the height of her fame, people had so much access to her.
Yeah, I get it.
Beyonce still came from that era of I have to protect myself as a star because a lot of people who are her age act the same way too, but that's never an issue.
But we're not talking about TMZ style.
But people
exposure. No. I mean, you posted. Look. Don't get mad at me because you brought this question, right? Does Beyonce do black media, right? And I'm talking about if this black media situation, like in pivotal moments, it's okay to come across and do an interview. Look, I know that like this cult, like the culture and Black Star Network, we are a growing, emerging space in social media. But you mean to tell me you can't sit down with a Roland Martin?
But here's my thing with that. And
it may not be.
But it goes back to how we said if the BET Awards were looked at the same standard as the Oscars or the same reach. So and that was what the conclusion of my question was. People did not see black media having the same reach and value as Vogue and Elle.
I agree. So, and we're still fighting for that. But see, here's the thing. Here's the part. Like you work for major media outlets, you work for black media outlets, right? So you work in both spaces. So the thing is, and I've heard Brother Roland say this, and I would tend to agree. He had just put out, it's so interesting, like we don't see some black celebrities until they get into trouble.
Oh yeah.
Until stuff starts falling apart in their world, and then they want to come to us, right? So we already know that. But then the thing is, like, if we're talking about black media, we're talking about this is media built on namesake. This is media built on people being present, right? And imagine if, and I'm not, again, I would love Beyonce. This is not about throwing a shade there, because this is anybody. But a person of her caliber, her status, could change the face of that black media space.
That's actually what my point was when I posed that question to people. I'm like, there's two parts to take away. A lot of people don't know what credible media is. I'm not talking about Shade Room. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm not talking about internet blogs. I'm literally talking about people who either went to school for this, who are putting years for this, actually know what sourcing is, know how to do interviews, know how to be on record, off record, respect, know how to do all these things. With the power that Beyonce or any artist has, they could turn. You give Essence a cover, they're going to be put beside Vogue in that. You give so-and-so an interview, they're going to, and like you said, what happens is for some reason, because we don't get that all the time, we automatically get seen as less credible, less respectable. And the people who get, the actual interactions from these people in these online blogs and stuff, they're seen as that. So Shade Room might get that attention because those celebrities are answering back in their comments. It's never Beyonce, but it's somebody.
Right.
So they kind of get like, oh, well, that means that, that artist really cares about their opinion because they answered theirs on the internet. They never said anything to you, and also it's rarely sensational. So that was my question, was like, does she do black media? Not to criticize her approach to media that she does, because she rarely does any, but to where when we think about black media outlets, why aren't they seated at that hierarchy as far as like, if I have to do this press run, I want to hit Vogue, Elle, why isn't Essence right up there with it?
Right. No, I get it. I get that.
Why do Essence only get to come cover the premiere, but they didn't get the exclusive? So those are the things that I have. That was really my main question when I asked. That was my main point when I asked that. But and it kind of trickles down as far as like Jay-Z. He said what he said in the room to where he knew the people that would affect or could change that were there to listen, because those people would not have listened to something at the BET Awards.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, get some final thoughts. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the show. To check it in with my sister Marty Bowser, who I am enjoying the conversation with. Marty Bowser is a journalist. She's an opinion writer. You can find her first, Marty. Let's throw out your social. Where can people find you as you're doing your work?
Instagram and Facebook, Marty Bowser, my name there. Twitter, Bowser No Mario, which is cool. But yeah, you can find me on all those things. I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. And
that is a dope ass name. Bowser No Mario. I love it. When I went to follow you, I was like, Bowser No Mario. This can't be her. This can't be her. But then it's like it kept coming back up. It's like, no, Negro, it is her.
That's me. I guess that's my spirit animal. I'll take Bowser. I'll be the last one you have to defeat before you go to the rest of the madness. So.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear from the crew. Glenette Brooks, you said, I think Beyonce is somewhat a private person. She allows her music and self-made documentaries speak for her. I agree. I think that if she got this rumored country album out, if she got a rumored country album out, who's she talking to?
Well, she's done CMT. And they tore her. She did a CMT award. She performed, and they ripped her apart. Like it was so racist. It was so horrible when she performed with the Dixie Chicks when she did Daddy's Girl. And did she win for that? Look, I'm losing it, but no, she did, and it was horrible. But I think it's almost one of those things to where it's again proven I could do this in any genre. And if they mess around and give her the best country album award. That'll just be another.
We're not even gonna be laughing at that. I'm not even gonna be laughing at that.
It's almost saying, since you all won't give me what is consensually like mainstream acknowledgement, I'm gonna come into your world and take the acknowledgement. So thank you.
Remember when, Marty, you remember when hip hop went through that phase of sounding like rock and roll? Like you had Lil Wayne putting out a rock album.
Oh yeah.
Who was that group that was like party like a rock star? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like hip hop went through that phase, and I think like rock and roll fans like, what the hell is this?
And there's been like a surge of Black music, like Black country music artists who are like doing numbers, and it's causing people, there's a lot of things that kind of make it their way back around to where what was considered, I guess taboo or white for us, like. Black people are very vocal about watching wrestling now. Black people are very vocal about going to NASCAR races now. And, Roger Caruth, he's the youngest Black NASCAR driver, but he literally was like one of Hendrick's top racers. He's 20 out of DC. And then you have the young boy that just did the song with the guy from Hootie and the Blowfish. Like it's just kind of revolving to where it's like, because you won't give our awards and our charts that standard, and then you keep us from winning yours, we're just gonna come over your house then.
Oh, absolutely. Coretta, you said Bey has never done a Christmas album. That's because Mariah Carey is still putting stuff out.
And Mariah Carey literally has work one day out of and I love it. Mariah Carey has to show up, find wherever the sequence is at, blow on Christmas morning, and she's done for the rest.
Mariah Carey. I bet you. Hey, look. May God be pleased with our sister Whitney Houston. But I've got a feeling if Whitney was still alive, she'd be on everybody's album. Everybody would be like, "Hey, Whitney." She'd be like, "Okay, I'm Aunt Whitney. Come on. Let's go up in the studio. Let's put something together."
Will be something.
You know what I'm saying? Like. But I think that it just goes to show you, and I know we got a couple of moments left, but I know that it just goes to show you where the changes are. What do you get from this? Like, what should we learn from this right now, Marty? That from this moment, and what does this look like for Black artistry moving forward?
I think Black artists have gotten to the point to where people and the consumers and listeners of music were very clear that this industry was not made for us to succeed. It was just made for us to be a way for somebody to profit. And they're getting sick of that. And the artists who can't necessarily leave or who are still in it and deep, they're trying to make and be vocal and make changes for the ones that come after them. And the tide is changing, but I think people, it's gotten to where even the listeners know that, the business of the music industry is a lot different from the artist. The business wasn't for us.
Issa Rae said that she's talking about the TV and film industry and how she's planning to go independent. Brother Roland talked a little bit about that as well. But do you see that happening within the music business where, I mean, a lot of artists, Meg Thee Stallion just got a new deal where she now can own her own masters. Mm-hmm. That was a big deal years ago. Now that seems to be more and more common, especially with Black artists. But do you see Black artists starting to, and I'm saying en masse, starting to say, you know what, we're going independent. We don't need this, because as much as we talk about these award shows and doing our own, it's going to still be left in the hands of these Black artists to say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm taking like LeBron James, I'm taking my skills elsewhere.
To make it short, yeah, but I think it still lies on the responsibility of us as the media, to the listeners, to support them to where they can continue to do it, because it's still the same as any Black business. It's no different than, the Black bakery that's down the shop. They can be very, very, very intentional in what they want to do, but if no one supports them, it's going to end up closing. So as long as we are just as intentional to stand behind these Black artists that choose to do that, it can succeed. But if we, at the first moment that, their song isn't ready for streaming, at the first moment that, they have to charge a little bit extra for a concert ticket because everything is coming out of their own pocket, we can't complain. We have to.
Great point.
We have
Excellent
to
point.
stay the course with them. The first moment that the show is running a little late, or, the award might not look as pretty and shiny. First of all, a Grammy costs $15 to make. Let's just say that. But the first time the award isn't as pretty and shiny as those, we still have to stick with them. And remember that they're rebuilding it too. So it's on us. It's on them to make that leap, but it's on us to support it, because at the end of the day, if we not, it's still gonna fail.
And I feel like we got it. I feel like there is a space for that. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of Black artists. Like, I like some of the less mainstream, like R&B Black male artists and stuff. Like, I'm a huge fan of like Raheem DeVaughn, but you don't see Raheem DeVaughn out there in terms of he's still making great music. He's still putting out great content, but he's not being awarded for those things. You know what I'm saying? And I think, to your point, I think you're making an excellent point. Like, we as the consumers have to draw the line and set the boundaries of saying, you know what, it doesn't need to be mainstream. Like, an artist's work should stand on its own, right? And there has to be that relationship where we tell the artist through our buying or through our support that, look, we want this type of music. And if they see that there is a space and place for music that is much more productive, much more righteous, much more loving, all of those great things, then that will compel them. I'm looking like a Rick Ross. I'm looking at Meek Mill. I'm looking at the larger conversation that my man D1 had. And I know this is a big conversation we don't have time to, but to hold artists accountable about the music that they're putting out there. Yeah. And it can change if we decide as the consumers that we were going to change it. But it can change. A lot of these artists, I'm sure nobody want to keep talking about drug dealing and smacking chicks and shooting Black men. Nobody want to hear that no more, man. It's 2024.
Pretty much. And that's actually what has helped Jay-Z succeed. He grew from Reasonable Doubt to what he talks about now. And he knew he got older, his audience got older. No one's going to believe.
And a lot of the OGs of hip hop are the same way. Nas has done the same thing.
Yep.
LL Cool J, Busta Rhymes. I mean, any of those older heads of hip hop, they're like, man, please, I got families, I got sons.
Yes.
I don't want to put this mess out there. Great point. Marty, I got to bring you back, sis.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Marty Bowles. So make sure y'all follow her on all social media. She got a new follower in me. And make sure y'all support her. She is a real journalist. She don't just talk about it. She actually does the research. She actually is serious about the work of presenting these stories. She's a real journalist, and she's a Black opinion writer. So she does have a little bit of that part of her in her too.
Very Black opinion. Very Black.
She is so good for the culture, and I thank her so much for her time today. Marty Bauer, thank you. Absolutely. All right, folks. That's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Go check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And more importantly, drop something in the bucket to support all of the work that we're doing and the content that we're putting out there. Also, follow me at social media at The Real Farajii. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram and on the X space at Farajii, and let's continue to build the community. All right, folks, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Peace.